All right, friends, good news and bad. Good news is we have a lot of exciting solo role-playing, general tabletop role-playing news, and I got a bunch of new games that I've collected over like the last month, and so we're gonna do like a kitchen sink, a cornucopia, smorgasbord episode where I show a lot of this stuff. Some of it is solo stuff. Some of it is not solo specifically, but I think has some potential there. And also some news out of the Free League camp. So that's the good news, right? Is we have a lot of fun stuff to go over. The bad news is you're gonna be broke. You're gonna watch this video and you're gonna be broke. And it's not like I'm doing anything. I'm not making any money off of these things, other than to let those of you know who are interested that for only $4 a month, you could join the SEAL Team Waffle Alpha membership level of the channel. And at that membership level, there's a lower one. It's called Best Friend. That's just saying, hey, I appreciate you. I think it's $2 a month. You get some emojis. But the $4 level, you're going to get access to the Discord and the weekly podcast. Which is incoming. We're having BB, my fiance, is leaving tomorrow, and so Mr. 55 and I are gonna record a little later this week. But usually it's every week. We do a pretty good job of that. Other than this last month with my bones being sawed into in my arm, which is also doing better. But you'll also get access to that Discord, and we're getting the Forbidden Lands Stronghold solo parallel play Stronghold booted up. Shouts out to everybody who's working on that. We can definitely use the help. We got 200 stone to gather this week to get a root cellar built. If you are already a SEAL Team Waffle Alpha member, make sure you send me a message on Discord at manalonewaffle, all one word, all lowercase. I don't think that matters, but and I will give you access to the Discord if you are a member of SEAL Team Waffle Alpha. So that's all I have to sell to you. And anything else that you're going to buy, you should definitely get it through Noble Knight Games. Link below. And again, there's that free international shipping for orders over $2.99 and free domestic for orders of $1.49. I don't know if you're going to make, will you be able to make it out of this video without picking up a little something? That's the question, because we have many toys to share. So before we do that, just some two big news items. Well, one's pretty big, one's like fine, out of Free League today. The first, which is sort of if one news is the Big Dipper, this one's the Little Dipper. The Little Dipper is they released chapter 12 of the new Coriolis, The Great Dark, which is the new version. I did a video on that. A lot of apprehension in the Manalone camp regarding this right now, because it is, in a lot of ways, it's reinventing the wheel on Coriolis. And in some ways, I like it. It is bringing it more in alignment with the sort of loadout that Free League does in its games. And especially that there's going to be like this delve mechanic, which is really excited in terms of like, from a GM perspective, like running the Great Dark looks like it's going to be 10 to 10 million times easier than running the Third Horizon. But, at the same time, one of my favorite things about Coriolis is the lore, and they're kind of giving like a Diet Coke version of that a little bit. But we'll see. The game's not out yet. But they did drop the 12th chapter, and the 12th chapter is Delves. And so I have not looked into this. I literally just downloaded this before the video, but I don't want to show too much. It's it's still in the development stage. They're taking feedback on it, but this chapter is pretty 14 pages just on generating delves. And this right here was especially interesting to me because if you play Forbidden Lands, this looks familiar. Now the roles are different, but the idea is the same, right? Is like, and you have like a lookout, you have a scout, etc. And so they're sort of doing the same thing here with having these different roles, and then there's directions on preparing for a delve. So I'm excited to sink my teeth into that a little bit. They did skip ahead several chapters because the alpha that they sent out, I think, went from chapter 1 to 7, but they said that 8 through 11 are going to be chapters on setting that they're going to release in a few weeks. And that is very exciting because that's the thing I probably have the most anxiety about. I'm not like chattering my teeth here or anything, but I'm curious how that's gonna roll out. So that's the Little Dipper. The Big Dipper, and it is a big dipper here, is that an email today, some of you probably saw it, that Alien is going to open their Kickstarter on March 25th. And this is for the Evolved Edition. And this couldn't come at a worse time because I just got off having a week-long rant to everyone who will listen in the Discord, otherwise, about Kickstarter and the horrible relationship with Kickstarter and the experiences with Kickstarter that I have lamented on this channel before and will likely do again. But I'm almost at that point where it's like, we don't need guys. Let's just take our shoes off and just dance. Like, I don't need Kickstarter anymore. Let's just take the heels off and just have a night where we go dancing. And then this comes along, and I'm like, how do I not kickstart this? How do I not kickstart this? Because let me show you how many things this hits. Okay, so right off the bat, a bold new look and feel to the core rulebook with all new page layouts by Johan Noor of Mork Borg fame and Colm G. Creepy duck design, which I don't really know what that is, but sounds great. Revise and expanded rules for talents, stress, panic, and stealth. And look at this. And last but not least, Last Survivor, a robust solo mode designed by masters of the solo trade, Sean Tompkin, Ironsworn, Starforged, Sundered Isles, and Matt Click, who did the solo for The One Ring, and both of them did the solo supplement for Dragonbane. So we are in trouble. I don't know how to resist. Additionally, they are dipping into miniatures. Okay, now they have done some toe dipping into miniatures because with Steamforged, they let us know in November, and the pre-orders I think are still open for this. I won't be getting it because it's Ruins of Symbaroum, which is the 5e version, but they have these really nice looking epic encounters, crossovers. There's an adventure with it. I really wish they'd do this without 5e too, but these models look awesome. I didn't get it, again, not only because it's like Ruins of Symbaroum, I'm not interested in the 5e formulation of Symbaroum, but also because the one box, I had this moment when I was like, do I want this? Like, is this what I want? Am I gonna like buy Symbaroum? Because I love Symbaroum, like, hypothetically, right? I just have never played it in a group. I've soloed it once with the solo supplement that I did a video on, and which was more like a game book by Paladin Press. And then the other is I've sort of tooled a solo session with it. And I had this, I remember I got this email about this, and I was walking and I was like, do I want Symbaroum miniatures? Because this thing looks awesome. But I think that if you get the $60 here, you get all of these miniatures, and then the Colossus, which is like the big bad of the adventure, is 50. So you get like one big model for 50, and then the other, and so it's like, well, of course I'd have to buy both. And then I was like, and what would that be? $110 pre-tax delivery. I don't think I am that excited for it. But if we look here, the interior for Alien Evolved looks sick. It looks so good. I'm so glad they went in this direction. Let me actually look, because I've never purchased the physical copy of Alien, but I do have the PDF. Thank you, Free League, for providing that for review. Let me take a look at that. Yeah, so the original, and by the way, if you wanted this one, it is backwards compatible. It's like 23 bucks for the PDF on DriveThru right now. But it had, I think, now again, I do not have this one, but it had this sort of design to it, which looked like a gaming manual from 1999, for like Philosoma or something. It did have some cool stuff here, obviously. I think just like, was this Martin Grip? I wonder if this was Martin Grip. Anyways, let me see here. Yep. Yeah, Martin Grip is really great too. So not going to hate on that. But just like, I'm talking about just like the layout right now. I gotta say, I think I agree with, I think it was Grim Jim who said this. I just don't like the black background with white or sort of light text. It's just not very. I don't know I don't actually know what it is, but it just makes it so hard to follow. But look at this now. So this looks like matte paper, and the illustrations look so good. And look at this starter set, gorgeous. And they got Rapture Protocol, which is like an adventure campaign, a cinematic adventure. And then these minis look really good. You got Space Marines, you have like the Teamsters, you got the Ripley bot and the Xenomorphs. So yeah, it'll be on all of those. And it's looking good, friends. I mean, it's gonna have. That's the adventure. Yeah, so it's going to have cards, it's going to have tokens, and the starter set as well. I might. Yeah, so Universal Supply Dial, that's back. Personal Agendas, Initiative. This whole board here. How do I do this? How do I not? I mean, look at the cards. It's going to be tough. I don't know how to do this. Will I be strong? Probably not. Okay, so that is very exciting, and obviously the thing that I am most excited about is the Last Survivor. Here's my dream. Here would be my dream come true. Sean Tompkin, Matt Click. This is not asking you, because I know that both of you could put out a 500-page solo guide if you wanted to. Give them more than 8 pages. Please, just give them like 20. Oh, would that be good? And Electric State, I think, had about 15 or 14 or 15 solo pages. That would be awesome. We would love that. Please and thank you. So I think it's fair to say that having both the Great Dark and Alien come out at the same time is very interesting. And first of all, I have to wonder if the Alien thing has something to do with licensing and timing of renewal. But not saying anything like nefarious. Just I know that like with IPs, you have to put something out in a certain amount of time. And the first Alien that they put out was actually 2019, which I have to get this through my head. That 2019 was 6 years ago, because 2019 always feels like 3 years ago. I don't know. But yeah, that's going to be interesting. You're basically having 2 space games come out at the same time. So there's got to be some way that they're differentiating them. Okay, so as far as Manalone specific news, we have some real exciting things. So the first thing I wanted to share is something that I am very curious how this is going to play out. Now, there is a creator on DriveThru named Amagi Games. And the 2 things that I have gotten from a Magi game so far are this deck of rules, and I also got a, and they have like physical copies of these, and they're very affordable as well. I also got the Soothsayers deck, which is a really nice, like, I have that right here. It's very simple, but it's like this person is, they know what they're doing. They have to have very good like game design chops. The Soothsayers deck is, which I think you can get it for free, like pay what you want for just the PDF, but it's just sort of like these imagery, just very stark imagery with a little something on the bottom that is mechanics. Resources are constrained. An interruption changes the field. And the truth is, and you won't hear me admit to this too often, simply because as a devoted soloist and a card boy, you know, there's always something more you need. Oh, I won't have that ultimate solo session until I get, you know, the solo top, you know, like those tops you used to pump and they'd spin around on the floor. I need a die that you know is a pump top. Anyways, but I think you could probably get so far in so many games with like this simple of a companion. The bell, an interruption changes the field. The bind, resources are constrained. The bodge, graceless function. So I was very pleased with this purchase, and again, I think it's very affordable. The design is fine. Like I think on both of these, it's pretty. You know, it looks like something that's just like a very basic computer illustration, but it's clear, so that's good. This is the deck of rules. And I have gone through these a couple times just looking. And as far as I can tell, this is super interesting. Game creators take heed here. Is that, as far as I can tell, this is like all components possible of a game with like names for them. Okay, so you have like extras. All right. You have resolution cards. You have tracking cards, right? Legacy. When a character dies, they leave behind a legacy. Threat. Each character has a threat value. Track with a big die. Ether. If this option's used, magical items differ. So essentially, this is a massive collection of like every mechanic that can be in a game, which is so interesting. And then you have bonuses. Foresight. Enhancement. Positioning could be a bonus. Then you have, it's more like resolution. And so it's just like putting a name to the various parts stats, the classic 6, the 5 elements, the 4 suits, the 4 seasons. Yeah, so it's just kind of like naming all the different game mechanic components. And I haven't used it yet. I'm in the middle of work. I'm actually almost done with the sequel supplement to Vox Gravis called Vox Profundus, who somebody corrected my Latin, and then I explained to them why I chose to make it to have alternating gender, because it should be Vox Profunda, but I chose Profundus because one of the main mechanics in it is anima versus animus. And I explained the whole thing. And it was a very long explanation. I went overboard because I did go to a school where we took Latin. And so then they said, I'm not reading your chat GPT answer. And that's the second time I've been accused of a chat GPT answer. And so I can't, I can't, that makes me not want to write those nice long, they were kidding. They were kidding about it, but I was like, what? And then I scrolled and they're like, just kidding, you convinced me. But I was like, that's the second time, because somebody else was like, oh, so you basically just like put that in chat GPT. And I was like, huh? Like, are there people that are so like obtunded and unable to answer comments that they have to go to chat GPT and be like, somebody comments this, how can I comment back? I don't know, but it's kind of like that moment on Twitter or whatever where everybody was just like, "Oh, you're just a bot." Like everyone was calling everyone a bot. I guess that's where we're headed. Anyways, not in this episode. So yes, I find those very interesting, and I don't know how I will use them. You know what I mean? Like I don't know how. Like if I was creating a game, how would I put those to work? Would I say, "Ah, man, I need some sort of like resolution mechanic," or like I need to figure out. I can tell you that one of the biggest things that really bogs me down during game design is I'll have like a hard time. I'll start having a hard time figuring out like what I'm trying to do or like what a mechanic means, or I'll have a mechanic that's meant to do something, and then I'll be like, well, how do I abstract this process? You know, like right now on the Discord in the Stronghold, we're trying to determine how to change around the time requirements for like how long people need to work on the Stronghold. And it's like, okay, how do I convert this thing that the dice is representing? So I just think it might be very helpful to see those things like named and nailed down, but I'm not sure how I would use them other than just like sifting through them every once in a while and reading them sort of at random. But we'll see. To be determined. All right. Old school essentials. Pick this up on my shopping spree today. This is the Isle of the Plangent Maze. I've never heard that word in my life. What does plangent mean? Stand by. All right. It is a loud, reverberating, and often melancholic sound. Okay, that's probably why there's like these trumpets here. And this is a 62-room dungeon. And Exalted Funeral, Necrotic Gnome, just like old school essentials, of which I have both of the basic fantasy books. Classic. Can anyone explain how this works? I want to make sure, like, I wanted to get the advanced fantasy ones, but it was like the classic fantasy rules tome is the classic fantasy player's guide plus the referee's guide. So I'm like, okay, so I have like a redundant player's guide here. And then the advanced one is all of the classic one plus another 130 pages. So I'm like, can I just have those 130 pages? Because otherwise that'll mean I have 3 copies of the player's rules tome. Anyways, I have to admit that it happened sometime around the Shadow Dark video that I started thinking more and more about mega dungeons. I did put up a post about what mega dungeons people like. There's very clearly mixed opinion on it, but I've begun to imagine just having like something like Barrow Maze or Dwero Deep or whatever, something that has just like 1,000 entries that I could solo. Because in a way, even though it's obviously like open world, the my solo supplement for Dragonbane has these kind of like set pieces in each of the locations. And I started thinking about like, I want to start thinking about how to convert mega dungeons or dungeon crawls, because you're going to run into problems in dungeon crawls, right? Because a lot of it will be like, if the players ask about X, and so the first question is like, how can we create a tool that allows you to sort of come up with an alternate task or an alternate challenge when those sorts of things come up? And then the second thing is, what would a full solo mega dungeon look like? Would it have to just be very vague? At that point, would it be worth it? Because you have something like Moria from the One Ring that is functionally like a more narrative-based dungeon crawl, but it has 29 set locations, but otherwise you're just going to be like generating them. That's not exactly what I mean. I mean like a solo mega dungeon that's made for soloing, and it's got like 600 entries. And I also have been dipping back into like OSE. So something's happening in me right now. There's something coming up. This has happened several times in my role playing career, where I'll suddenly like want to play something really bad, like a type of game that I have not wanted to play before. Or I haven't played much, or I haven't enjoyed very much. It's what happened with Pendragon, right? I looked at Pendragon 100 times and was like, no thanks. And then one day I was like, oh, I want to play that. And that has been and continues to be a very rewarding experience with its challenges, although I really liked the last episode we did. And so suddenly I'm like, I want to play some OSR, like some really good OSR. So anyways, I got this mostly to just kind of page through it and think about it. Dude, this is so affordable. These are so affordable. This is like a hardcover for $15. Yeah, I know like $15 it's for the amount of pages and everything, but as I look through the prices for some of these other ones that I got, they're not that much bigger. And this one is a soft cover. I think it was $26. Everything from Old School Essentials is really, really affordable. And so I'm getting, I don't know what any of that means yet, but that's something. And then I finally picked up Eternal Return Key, which is, I guess you could say, so it's by Luka Rajek, who is Ultraviolet Grasslands. And in one way, this is an explanation of the CCAT system, or at least what used to be called CCAT. It's now called the SDM. And this is basically the synthetic dream machine. There's a lot of SDMs, but it's how you resolve roles and stuff like that. It's a concentrated explication of that. And it is I think what this mainly would be used for is an alternate starting point for UVG. I don't have enough experience with Ultraviolet Grasslands to know how this differs, but as I'm going through this, I'm like, as with most stuff that's UVG, I'm like, look at how much stuff is in here. Like, this is as good as some, solo supplements or GM type supplements. I mean, it just has so much different stuff. But the one thing about UVG and all of this, which I think is both a gift and a curse, is Luca's, I don't know, I'm calling Luca. It's like, I'm personal friends, but what am I going to say? Monsignor Rajek is such a specific idea. I mean, truly like somebody who is, their brain just sees things at like a 171 degree angle or something. And so it's like a very high level of specificity, which makes for really, really interesting, unique inputs. But then there's also sometimes an issue of like, it's difficult to translate it into other games. Because I remember Geek Gamer saying that like UVG was a dream come true for soloists because it had so many like inputs that you could use in other games. And that's true. But, depending on the game, like if I was playing Dragonbane and I got like a Bio Cocoon or Chronophagus as my input, I obviously can deal with that. But it could get a little bit taxing when I like roll up my fourth Mecha Medic and Narco Herbalist that my like little frog has to talk to. So I am excited about that because there is something also with UVG that is headed my way. I did kickstart a while ago, I think. It's kind of a sequel to it, I think. It's called like Golden something. Let me take a peek at that just so that I'm giving it its due. Yep, I remember now. So I was actually agonizing about this because I really did want everything, but I just can't get everything. But I did end up getting, I believe, yeah, I think I got the Vastlands guidebook, which is like the enhanced rule book. But look at all this amazing stuff. There's like these rule cards, supplement cards, new maps, new dice. And then, of course, there's the Our Golden Age is the campaign, which, like, I don't know. I see Ultraviolet Grasslands, like, I would say a sighting of it in the wild at my game store, like, every other month. And I was like, well, let me get the Vastlands guidebook. I'll check it out, and then I'll decide later if I want to get Our Golden Age, which is the 200-page campaign and is sized the same as UVG. But I came back later when they like confirmed that my shipping was processed, and it turns out that the Vastlands guidebook, like, you can get it for free digitally, which is not to say that's the same as having a physical copy. I mean, I'm happy that I'm getting a physical copy, but I think that ended up being the only thing I got, and the reason for that was like, oh, I'll inspect that and then see if I want to get the campaign. So I might have screwed that one up, but it's hopefully. I've never been somebody to like get a collector's edition or anything like that, and so I'm not worried about that. And I'm sure at some point, if I love it enough, I'll be able to pick up Our Golden Age and Mother Machine. But so yeah, that is. I there's got to be some at some point. Something has to happen with Ultraviolet Grasslands. It's just too gorgeous. It's too special. It's too unique. I have not dedicated the time needed to solo it. Even like playing the game, the way it's played, it's like a caravan game. You just like travel in it and like trade, and it seems so interesting. I would love to play this game with a group, but I just worry about the level of investment of it. Anyways, so we'll see. Rhapsody of Blood. I've never heard of this company, Worlds of Legacy. I've never heard of Minerva McJanda, but I've seen this a couple of times, and I finally picked it up today. And it is not a solo game, but it has lots of very cool mechanics that I think printed in Latvia. I think that I'm just gonna be honest with you. I got this game because it was the closest I've ever seen to a Castlevania tabletop game. I mean, it is almost like directly inspired. So chapter 1, Under a Blood Moon. Look at the levels here if you're a Castlevania person. Clock Tower, Throne Room, Barracks, the Garden. Really interesting clock system, and it also is like bloodlines. So each bloodline has like certain stats that are essentially tarot based. In any given generation, each bloodline will produce a handful of heroes with the tenacity to enter the castle and fight its denizens. Each explorer has their own set of skills, particularly suited to a certain aspect of the journey into the castle's depths. And so the bloodlines, they like what the archetypes are is pretty much like Simon Belmont, so like a vampire hunter, and then you have like Magi, which would be like Sifa Belnades, and it's just it's Castlevania, man. It's Rondo of Blood. It's Symphony of the Night. Castle exploration mechanics, harm and wounds, and I do like that. It almost seems like it has a bit of a roguelike. I never remember which one it is. The one that's like Dead Cells. What is that? Where you're kind of supposed to lose. And then there's these like an interesting wound accumulation and blood accumulation system. Lots of weapons that look very familiar, like a blood whip. And I just wish this was like solo, man. This seems like something that would be great solo for all of you aspiring soloists out there. Minerva. And then chapter 3 playbooks. A little bit of like Darkest Dungeon involved here too. Sorry, my right hand doesn't work very well. And then you have these bloodline moves. When your explorer would inflict the killing blow on an acolyte, they may stay their hand. If you do, roll plus chalices. On a 7 and 9, before they retreat, they get enough control to tell you one of how the region's ritual can be set back, how the acolyte can be saved, a secret weakness of another acolyte. So you're basically like trying to stop the return of not Dracula. You know what I mean? So you have the half-damned, the legendary heroes, the Magi, the Holy Church, and the Hidden Hand. Each of them has a different focus, and there are also 5 explorer types. So this would be like kin and specialization, or however they are now. Your role, profession. So you have the Bonded, the Mystic, the Pack Rat, the Reckoner, the Slayer. Bloodline empowerment. A lot of bloodline moves give your explorer. And by the way, I bought these like an hour ago, so this is why I'm kind of just freshly taking a look at them here. But I did page through. I've been paging through this book like for a year and a half. A lot of bloodline moves give your explorers additional capabilities. For your ease of reference, these have been marked with a symbol. I'd recommend you write a note on your explorer's playbook. This is somebody solo this, please. Here's an example. Castle. Yeah, I think this will look very cool. The Breach. I swear that somebody told me this was a solo game, and I don't know what I confused it with. Mario Scuteri. That name. Let me look. Nah, okay, but twist. It's not. So I don't know what I have this confused with, but this is an Italian author. I did. And by the way, if you're like, well, why didn't you just look? Well, it was shrink wrapped. And so what I looked at here is in 1943, the Ministry of Culture and Science, or as Mario Scuteri would say, is nel 1943 il Ministero della Cultura e della Scienza della Confederazione Illuminata ordinò un esperimento per testare la teoria. I won't punish anyone further with my half Spanish, half Italian that I speak. But it says right here, something went terribly wrong. An explosion occurred in one of the laboratory's particle accelerators, creating a portal between our world and other dimensions known as the Breach. Drawing inspiration from iconic science fiction novels of the 70s, this game will transport you through time and space, revealing a multitude as a watcher. And I was like, I don't know. Your role, see, I just read what I wanted to read because, you know, easily you could say this for like a group game, but it was just like, as a watcher, your role is to gather data and information, delving into these infinite universes in search of hidden secrets, all while attempting to survive and make it back in one piece. And then it was also Breathless, which is usually like, not usually, but very often a solo supplement. Anyways, it's not terrible because the game looks really, really cool and really interesting. So it's not like a total failure or anything. But yeah, as far as I could tell, there's nothing that has solo rules that I was able to see. It's like a fully fleshed out game, though. So... And I have to say, my goodness, man, what a cool. You know what this like is to me? I mean, not exactly, but it's almost like a long Thousand Empty Light. See, this is what I'm doing right now. This is what I did in my head. This is what I did. Is like I just wanted it to be something. But yeah, looks like a cool setting. The watchers work in groups. Entering a paradox alone is far too dangerous, it says. Their gear always includes tools and a cloak. Damn. If anyone could figure out, is there like something that has a similar name to this? Like, what did I confuse this with? Maybe it was Hostile. Maybe I was just thinking of Hostile Solo. Anyways, that looks cool. Wow, this is a real treat. Actually, we have two real treats. So I did get a copy of Solitary Plunder, which is, you could probably tell, a solitary defilement for Pirate Borg. The production, the quality is really, really nice. Nice heavy stock paper. Solitary Plunder is a retheming of Solitary Defilement, created by 1d10 plus 5. Oh, I just realized 1d10 plus 5 is idiots. That's kind of funny. See that? Idiots. With some new elements added and is not affiliated with Limithron. This supplement is compatible with Pirate Borg. So yeah, it basically has like the move system, but I have to say, as far as like the solo defilement series, available, I think Max Moon just said on Discord too that they're going to be getting some new solitary defilement up and running. But as far as the quality, like the print quality, this is, I think, the highest one so far. And it's really nice layout, right? You can get in trouble with Borg type games where it gets kind of too much. You know, there's too much. Words are sliding all over the place. But yeah, it's basically going to use the strong hit, weak hit failure system. Lots of nice tables here. Interesting checks for seafaring solo. And so if you're a Pirate Borg fan, this right here is going to be your, like, you're going to want, this is going to be a great way to run Pirate Borg solo. And you know what? Why I know it's going to be the best is because my freaking name is on the back of it, okay? That's pretty much all you have to know about that. So Bryan Gago, great job. And Pirate Solitary Plunder. Let's see if I can find... All right, I don't want to say too much because I don't actually know when it's going to be released. But let Bryan know in the comments below if when he releases this, if you're going to want a copy of it. This was kind of an advanced copy here. But the land and sea encounters are awesome. And there is actually a big bad that I won't reveal, but a nice array of things to generate loot, things to generate encounters, different paths on the sea, and a whole page dedicated to which kind of rum you find. So as I'm suddenly realizing, I'm not sure if I was supposed to share this because it's not available yet, but Bryan, as a penance, when you do decide to release it, I'll do a little bit of a playthrough maybe on the pod. So yeah, let Bryan know if you're excited about Solitary Plunder, and I hope that this wasn't Bryan just making a book for himself, because if so, get ready, you might have to print about 1,500 of them. Also, I want to put on everybody's radar. Oh, well, actually, this is another little tiny fun thing. So I did put out a like an ask for which mega dungeon to get, and I did finally decide on this Gunderholfen. And man, I don't like Arden Vol. All of those look really awesome, but to get the entirety of Arden Vol printed, I think is like over $200. This game, I got a PDF and the hardcover right now for $47. It's 417 pages. There is also a, right now, what is it? A bundle deal where you can get all the maps and everything too. Yeah, look at this. Arden Vol bundle on the right here is $275, which, like, no hate. I mean, I think it's like 1,100 pages, so it's not like a ripoff or anything. But yeah, I saw this and I was like, you know what? I think we're just going to try this one to see if I even like a mega dungeon. And for around $50, you're getting like the maps and everything as well. I definitely will let you know about that when it comes. I did use like the basic shipping, but that's not actually what I wanted to show everybody. Is I want to put on your radar that right now, nope, the Shrill Lab is releasing, has released the PDF for Amateur Naturalist. Now, this is a game that I have known about for a long time, and I'm also, I would say, very, very proud to say that I am also mentioned in the credits for this game. There is, let's see here. Yeah, right there. The Man Alone. So thank you very much. And this is, so this game on DriveThru right now is, if you like video games like Ark or I'm not sure which one this is, if it's like Any Man's Sky or whatever, but like this is okay. So category wise, I think that the author would say it's a journaling game, but it's not. And I'm just going to show you like a little bit of it. I don't want to obviously give away the whole thing, but this is a 112 page comprehensive system for like archaeobotany and planetary discovery. And it is, I'm very, very excited to play this because, like the full thing now, I've seen several pieces of it. The way that this is going to come together here, I think it's going to be on par with Cartograph, just in terms of this comprehensive world building system that is so engaged and so involved that it is the sort of game generator that becomes the game, or it is the game. It is, but there's not just like, how do I'm trying to, I want to really get at what is special about this game. Okay, when you think of a journaling game, you're going to think of like, okay, now you do this. What do you think about that? Oh, now you see this. Like, what is there? This has so much vivid descriptions of things, and there are so many different combinations of things that can happen, that the journaling, I think, in as far as how much you want to engage in that, if you didn't want to write any journals, I think that this game is still going to have a sort of like discovery planet, landing on a new frontier of a planet, and just like finding out the wild, unique stuff that is there. And it also has like mechanics to it as well, so that you can you know, find different things, overcome different difficulties. But the true inspiration, or the kind of genre behind it, is speculative evolution. If anyone has seen the book, there we go, All Tomorrows. So this is just like a book that's about the it is mind bending. I think it's Turkish. It's just about like what could potentially happen to the human race over the next like million or billion years of evolution. And so that is the emergent genre of amateur exonaturalist. But I want to say this is, I think I've zoomed in on my mind here and what I like about this so much. The the process that you are guided through for like approaching a planet and generating your impressions. What I think I like about this, and the thing that I also like about Cartograph, is that too often in journaling games, of which you know I have a difficult history with, too often in journaling games, at the very end of it, say you wrote 10,000 pages of a journal. Ultimately, you have a journal with your thoughts and observations and your considerations and your ponderings, or maybe you create a character. And I think it really comes down to the fact that like I just don't often feel like the juice is worth the squeeze on those sorts of things where it's like I'm going to invest 20 hours in a game that the end product of it is that I have a journal filled with like my thoughts. It just doesn't feel like I want to do that because I'd rather just think my thoughts. But what I think Amateur Exonaturalist does, oh, I want you all to just check it out. Check out the preview on DriveThru. It's the layout is super clean, the pictures are nice, but when you are done playing this, rather than just having like, you know, a journal filled with you know, your character being like another day that I was on the search for this, you know, old library book or whatever, this is going to be like a dossier of your discoveries. You're going to create these worlds. You're going to create flora and fauna and all these different things. And so in that way, you don't have to journal, but it is one of the few games that I actually feel like journaling would be an exercise that would leave me with something at the end that would be worthwhile. All right. So check that out, Amateur Exonaturalist. That, I believe, is going to lead me to the very last point we've had on this exhausting tour that I want to thank all of you for coming along for the ride, if you're still here. The last thing here is Between the Skies. Now, you've probably seen this if you watch Dungeon Dive Daily with Daniel. But Between the Skies is a beautiful book from Exalted Funeral that is 400 plus pages, printed in Lithuania. And this book is a collaboration with a lot of different folks. I believe it is in fact was several zines that were then combined. Actually, let me try to get this a little higher so we could look at it together. Last thing I want to say about that hurt. Amateur Exonaturalist is if you are somebody who likes to sketch as you are playing, I think that this would be a game where you can create like get a nice like moleskin journal. So you could have like little sketches and notes and stuff like that, because it really does feel like you're a field explorer. Okay, so Between the Skies, so interesting. I have not gotten a grip on what the hell this book is. Okay, so it has these tables, Spark 1, Spark 2, and these are sparks between the spheres and sparks between the planes. Okay, and so it is very, very, very open-ended, and it is definitely wants you to be as weird as you can. The layout is gorgeous, easy to read. At times, I almost feel like maybe I could use a little bit more on a page, but you know, I mean, everyone has a vision for stuff like that. There's definitely plenty of observation. There are specific solo rules in this game. And they are, the whole thing is rules minimalist. And I don't want to say too much because I have not, so 367 is solo and collab play. I have not spent enough time with this, but I just want to show you my new toy. So, You generate your character, generate your ship, determine how and why you are traveling, and any important patrons or rivals. And here are some solo principles, which I like. This is a game of far-flung travel. Once you leave one location, generate an entirely new one. Jump ahead as far as time as you desire. So this is sort of interesting because I thought that this was good to talk, not to pit it against the exonaturalist, but this is very much an open-ended book. It is like it's the cool guy at a party, you know, like, hey man, yeah, whatever you want. You think that's good? Like, that's pretty cool. And so it's a completely different experience, and you have like points of interest here. It's got lots and lots of stuff. So I honestly think, like, as a standalone thing, I don't know how deep into it I could get. But this is a very interesting juxtaposition here, just in terms of two approaches that it's really tricky to get it right. Is that on one hand, if you make a game too rigid, it's just like, it's not enough role playing. You just kind of feel like you're playing a board game, but you don't get the board or the tokens. You have to play it in your head. But then if you don't have enough structure, there is a certain thing that at least I experience where I start to be like, like subconsciously matching the level of commitment of the author, where, you know, obviously every book is going to say something like, these are, you know, rulings, not rules, like the rule of fun, do whatever you want, of course. But that's obviously always the rule in solo play. But there is this feeling sometimes where you're like, well, if you're not going to make a decision about anything, then like I feel less compelled to make a decision about anything. And it starts to feel a little bit like something is too casual and it lacks a centrality to it. And I in no way am ready to give a review of this. I have not finished reading it. I am amazed at its design and the amount of tables and resources about encounters. It definitely is something that is more about exploration and stuff like that. But through Cartograph and Amateur Exonaturalist, which, like I said, I've been chopping at the bit for a while to talk about that. And so that will not be the last time that comes up on the channel. I just wanted to put that on everyone's radar because I don't feel like I gave it its due. But there's something about having like a good structure to things like this that make you feel committed and on track, and like that you are playing a game. And I think because this was originally several different zines, if I'm not mistaken, it does sometimes feel like the Pacino De Niro scene in Heat, back when they like were hated each other and they filmed that scene separately. I don't know if that's true or if that was just a rumor, but it's like sometimes the impression I get, just because of how disjointed everything is in this, that like they weren't in the same room when they were making it, which is probably true. I mean, that's probably most games now, but I think this is going to, if I were to predict, which is what a stupid thing to do on a channel where you're supposed to be like giving people feedback about games, but my sense is that this is going to be, yeah, like interpreting results as play, yes, but that has a limit to it, right? And I think this is more of something that I would use as a tool than necessarily like playing it in and of itself. But who knows? I like the idea of setting up your world. There are these like games that you know, are good like lead-in games that naturally do well to bridge you into another game, like creating a character, creating a world. But you know, I must admit that it's hard to resist something that looks this good. So I'm excited to check this out more fully and give you a more thorough review. But again, this video today was just kind of saying, hey, what's up? Here's like some stuff I got. I'm going to do a quick sweep here, make sure there is nothing else to report on. And, maybe we can finish at an hour exactly. Actually, no, there is one more thing. I totally forgot about this. This is going to be like one of the most amazing solo games ever. This is called... I updated the list. Look at this. Look how fast it goes now. Because so many of you. Reach out on Discord. Come join us. Wow. It's incredible. Love you.